Welcome to Think Better. Have you ever wondered why you buy the things you buy? What makes you buy that extra snack at the supermarket checkout? Yet another new item of clothing to accumulate in your closet, or buy a new smartphone even when your current one still works perfectly? The truth is that our purchasing decisions aren't always as rational as we think. Even if unconsciously, there's a whole psychology behind every swipe of the credit card. In this video, we'll delve into the fascinating world of the reasons why we buy and spend. Reason number 1, the illusion of choice. We all like to believe that when we make a purchase, it's our choice. But what if I told you that many of the decisions you make while shopping aren't as free as they seem? Companies and marketers know how to steer you towards certain products without you even realizing it. One of the ways they do this is through the paradox of choice. You might think that having lots of shopping options is a good thing, but too many choices can actually make you anxious and confused. I get very anxious when faced with too many shopping options. Studies show that when we are overwhelmed with options, we tend to opt for what is familiar or popular. That's why, in a store full of different cereals, you may end up choosing the brand you know, even if it's not the best. Then there's anchoring. This is when companies use an initial piece of information to influence our purchasing decision. Let me give you an example. If you first see a very expensive product, the next item you're presented with, even if it's still expensive, will seem like a better deal. Anchoring sets your expectations and increases the likelihood that you'll spend more. It's a marketing technique widely used by brands, and most of the time, we don't even realize we're being influenced by it. Another widely used trick is the lure effect. Let me explain. Imagine you're faced with two options, one cheap and basic, and the other expensive and top of the range. If a company adds a third option with a price between the two initial options but which offers less value, this makes the more expensive option seem like a better deal. You're more likely to choose that more expensive option, even if that wasn't your initial plan. The reality is that all the choices you make when shopping are influenced by subtle psychological stimuli. If you understand these tricks, you'll be able to make more conscious purchasing decisions when faced with a sea of options. Believe me, it works. Reason number 2, emotional triggers. Now I want to ask you a question. Have you ever made a purchase simply because it made you feel good at that moment? Maybe it was something you didn't even need, but somehow you felt compelled to buy it. That's the power of emotions in the world of marketing. Whether it's happiness, fear, nostalgia, or even a sense of urgency, marketers are experts at pulling the right emotional strings to influence our purchasing decisions. They know that although we like to think of ourselves as logical beings, our emotions often guide our decisions. A cleverly created ad can bypass the rational part of our brain and tap directly into our feelings. Next thing we know, we're adding items to our cart without a second thought. It's no accident. It's all planned. I hate to admit it, but it really is like that. Has it ever happened to you? Think about the last ad you saw that made you smile. Why did it have that effect on you? That emotional connection you felt was no accident. Companies use emotions to create a connection between you and their product, a connection that often leads to action, to purchase. Have you ever noticed a limited time offer or a clock counting down on a website, urging you to make a purchase quickly? This plays on one of the most powerful emotional triggers, fear. Specifically, the fear of missing out, or FOMO. It's that little voice in the back of your mind that says, what if I don't buy this now and this offer disappears forever? FOMO is a marketing tactic that capitalizes on our natural desire to belong and be part of something exclusive. By creating a sense of urgency, advertisers get us to act before we have time to question ourselves. Whether it's a quick sale, a one-off offer, or a limited edition product, the fear of being left behind can lead us to make impulsive decisions. Another emotional trigger that is incredibly effective is social proof. This is the idea that we are more likely to do something if we see others doing it, especially people we admire or trust, such as our friends or public figures. In advertising, this usually appears through influencers, celebrities, and customer reviews. When you see someone you admire using a certain product, it triggers an emotional desire to follow suit. After all, if it's good enough for them, it must be good enough for you, right? In the same way, 5-star reviews or the sight of other people praising a product can have a significant impact on your purchasing decision. It's a subtle, unconscious nudge, giving you the reassurance that you're making the right choice because others have already validated it. Finally, many ads are designed to make you feel good and comfortable inside. Think of those vacation ads that warm your heart, or those that make you feel nostalgic. These ads associate their products with positive emotions, so when you buy them, you're not just buying a product, you're buying a part of that happiness. This is very powerful. Even if it's something you don't necessarily need, those positive emotions can be strong enough to make you buy. After all, who doesn't want to feel good? Marketers are well aware of how emotions drive human behavior. They understand that although we believe we are making rational decisions, it is often our feelings that guide us. By exploiting our emotional triggers, whether through fear, social proof, or simply making us feel good, they can influence our decisions in ways we don't even realize. The next time you feel compelled to buy something, stop for a moment and ask yourself, am I buying this because I need it or because it's making me feel something? The answer may surprise you. Trust me. Reason number 3, the role of dopamine. Our brains are incredibly complex, and one of their main functions is the search for pleasure. This search for pleasure is deeply linked to a chemical called dopamine. Dopamine is often referred to as the feel-good chemical because it is released when we experience something rewarding, whether it's enjoying a delicious meal, listening to our favorite music, or, in this case, shopping. Think about the last time you bought something online. Maybe it was a great deal on a product you'd been eyeing for weeks. Or maybe it was an unexpected discovery on a new website your friend told you about. Remember that little surge of excitement you felt when you clicked buy? That's dopamine in action. When we shop, especially when we get a good deal or receive something new, our brain releases dopamine, making us feel happy and satisfied. Here's the interesting part. It's not just the purchase itself that triggers this reaction. In fact, a large part of the pleasure comes from anticipation. Psychologists have discovered that waiting for something can be more rewarding than getting it immediately. That's why the experience of online shopping, where there is often a waiting period until the order arrives, can be more exciting and rewarding than buying something in the physical store and taking it home straight away. That waiting period, the days spent tracking the order or thinking about how you're going to use your new product, create anticipation and, with it, more dopamine. Today, companies are well aware of how our brains react to this anticipation. That's why they create shopping experiences that keep us coming back for more. One of the ways they do this is through reward systems. Whether it's through accumulating points, offering discounts, or access to members-only offers, these systems are designed to give us small but regular doses of dopamine. Every time we earn a reward or unlock a special offer, our brain responds in the same way it would to any other kind of pleasure, by releasing dopamine and making us feel good. I'm sure you can think of brands you're a customer of and earn points or rewards when you shop. Am I right? It's like a game. Companies want you to keep playing, so they offer you little incentives to make sure you stick with it. The more you engage with the rewards, the more often you'll feel the dopamine rush. It's a subtle but powerful way of keeping you involved and coming back for more. Over time, this creates a cycle. Buy, feel good, get a reward, repeat. This process, although enjoyable, can sometimes lead to excessive purchases or impulse buys, especially when we are unaware that a large part of our decision-making is being influenced by our brain chemistry. Understanding the role of dopamine in shopping helps us to be more aware of our consumption habits. Next time you're about to make a purchase, it's worth asking yourself, am I buying this because I need it, or because I'm chasing the next dose of dopamine? Ultimately, shopping is a balance between need and pleasure. The key is to enjoy the experience without letting the dopamine rush take over. Brands don't just sell products, they sell identities. When you buy certain brands, you're also buying a lifestyle, a status, or even a tribe. And this is no accident. You often choose brands that reflect who you are or who you want to be. Wearing a brand says something about your personality, your values, or your status. Many brands create communities around their products and promote a sense of belonging. Think of the Apple versus Android debate, or the way some fashion brands represent specific social groups. It's not just about the product. When you're loyal to a brand, you're aligning yourself with its values and identity. Sometimes we tell ourselves stories to convince our brain that we've made the right decision. Have you ever decided to make a purchase but your brain still needs to justify it? This is where the rationalization of the purchase, or cognitive dissonance, comes into play. That is, the discomfort you feel when you make a choice that conflicts with your beliefs or values. To reduce this discomfort, you rationalize the purchase. Once you've bought something, you focus on the information that confirms you've made a good choice, and ignore everything that suggests otherwise. This thinking is called confirmation bias. Next time you go shopping, ask yourself, am I really in control of my choices, or is there something deeper at play? The psychology behind buying is a fascinating mix of emotion, identity, and carefully crafted marketing strategies that guide your decisions more than you realize. Being able to understand why you buy a certain product doesn't mean you'll stop spending, but it does give you the power to make more conscious decisions. So when you decide to change your cell phone, choose a dinner, or spend on something new, take a second to think about what's motivating that choice. If you found this video interesting, like it and tell me in the comments, what was the last purchase you made on impulse? I'll tell you what mine was. Remember, the next time you reach for your wallet to make a purchase, there's a whole psychology behind that choice. Stay curious, keep learning here at Think Better. Thanks for watching.